All right, so let's move on to the next section. It's a little bit lighter and it's a little bit more fun, hopefully.
Well, this has been great fun.
Just now is very reflective, and I think there's a lot of useful information out there. So right now we're going to go to the fun part, and we're going to ask each of you to answer a question about each other. And actually, no, this is not a question. It is a set of 5 questions.
Okay.
So who wants to answer first? So if it's Việt, you're going to answer questions about Chi.
Okay, I'll just do that.
Like,
Do we alternate, or do you?
I think it's a set.
Will you
It's a
ask
set.
5 questions
Yeah,
at
set.
once?
It's like a set menu.
You
Are
can
guys-
answer first about
yeah,
me.
Okay.
we like set
You're
menus
younger.
over here.
Yeah. Right. Gampang. All right.
Okay. So,
I'll answer about Tree.
all right. Okay, so what nationality is Chi?
American.
American. Is this true?
Yes.
So you have an American passport. Do you have a Vietnamese passport?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't. Okay. What horoscope is Chi?
I only know like 5 signs, so I will pick one of those 5 signs.
Okay, that's obvious. Like you're not Vietnamese because
Yeah.
all the horoscopes.
Yeah.
All the 12 horoscopes.
Right. I'll just say Sagittarius because I think that's one of them. Might even be wrong.
That's
It's
probably
quite-
Sagittarius.
Yes, thank you.
It's quite close actually. I'm a Scorpio,
You're a
and Scorpio is the sign right before Sagittarius.
Okay.
So almost.
I'm a Scorpio too.
Oh, great.
I'm a Scorpio as well. Okay, this question I don't think you can answer. Do you think he matches a Scorpio? Do you think his personality traits display that of a Scorpio?
You know, I'm just gonna go off of the fact that Scorpions are like scary, and I will say no. For the sake of our friendship, I don't think he seems like a Scorpio, but you should educate me.
Do you think you're a Scorpio?
I think according to what the astrological sign or the horoscope reads, I do share some traits of a Scorpio.
And these are? Maybe some people
These
mention on
these
screen.
label, yes. Well, maybe I should mention them, and then everyone will not
We
want
can
to
edit them.
befriend me anymore. But no, Scorpios are mysterious. They're loyal. They also have a long memory, so that they take revenge if someone has harmed them or such. So I guess they're seen as a dangerous sign. But other than that, I think I'll play up the loyal and faithful part more than sort of the revengeful part. I'm someone who I think would have your back if you get to know me over time.
All right, so that's an advertisement for getting to know you better.
Oh, right.
Hopefully.
And the astrology system in general.
Yes.
All right, so Chi likes Vietnamese food better than American foods.
I would say yes.
Yeah, is that true?
Yes. I think Vic have seen how much I eat on the street in Vietnam, so I think
Yeah.
I'm very fond of
Right.
the local cuisine here.
And he's on a diet of canned food in the States. So
That's
it's a low bar.
It's part
to
of
beat.
the grad student diet. We
Yeah.
we eat what we can, and sometimes that is canned food, in order to sustain ourselves.
exactly.
For doing tough work.
Okay, that's good. So when she was at Harvard, what did he study?
Oh, jeez. Oh, Lord.
Probably told you this before. But
You have
you
told
didn't
me.
really
So
pay
I
attention.
I know you went to the Kennedy School, and I know that you're studying anthropology now, but I don't recall what you studied in undergrad because, as you recall, it was like 15 years ago. So I know something in the humanities. I don't know. Sociology.
Sociology.
Again, quite close, just like Sagittarius. I studied something in undergrad, a major that's called social studies.
Social studies.
In Vietnamese, the closest sort of translation would be xã hội học. But yeah, social studies is a very interdisciplinary major that took into account things like economics, international relation, social theory. But I also want to say, in addition to sort of all these talk about my undergrad and Kennedy School experience, I'm also currently a PhD student at Yale. So I know that Yale and Harvard has this friction. So if I mention Harvard too much, I think all my friends back at Yale or my professor may tẩy chay me. So it's good to bring that up too.
Absolutely. And right now you're doing your PhD in
In anthropology at Yale University. So studying Vietnamese youth and new media and communications.
and trying to find a way for Vietnamese youths to incorporate information a lot
Yes.
better.
One of the things that I'm interested in looking at is sort of how the flow of information in Vietnam or in general these days, with the access to the internet, with this is overwhelming amount of information. How do young people are able to distill, to find things that are useful for them, and to make use of free information in a way that could help their own personal development. Whereas information could also overwhelm a person in terms of not knowing where to look or being distracted.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of like a tension between discipline and sort of distraction in this whole, new media era.
Absolutely. Okay, this one's a good one.
Okay.
What is Chi's ideal mate?
Okay.
Or who is Chi's ideal mate? Or not necessarily who. What type of person is Chi's
What
ideal
is an
mate?
ideal mate for a scorpion?
So
Maybe
talk about
maybe you would
scorpion.
know because you're also Scorpio. So
I
anyhow.
know for me, but it's about you because you're.
Wow.
A scorpion is just a scorpion.
Slightly embarrassing. Okay, go ahead, Vic. Read my
So-
soul. Read my future.
So, I would say that Tree's ideal mate is probably himself. in that, I think he probably needs, or well, my guess is he likes people who are intellectual, like who can analyze topics and think about questions with him, and also respects his need to like be a free spirit and go wander and find things and close him off in dark spaces like scorpions do. So that is my guess, and probably someone who is chilled.
So if I could respond just really briefly on that, it means that because I'm so into myself, I'm going to be forever A, or in the new slang now, it's forever alone, FA, right?
Yeah. There's a song called Forever Alone in Vietnamese.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
It's very catchy. It's like forever, forever alone.
I'm going to put that on my Facebook profile after today, huh?
But yeah,
after this show.
You're avoiding the question. So what's your ideal type?
Is this something we share right now on television? My ideal type? I think, I guess to put it simply, someone who's committed to the work that they do. Doesn't really matter in terms of what field, but I think someone committed to doing the work that they are interested in or passionate in to the best of their ability. And also someone who's, I guess, open to conflict. I mentioned this a lot of times. Maybe I'm just a very conflicting person or like to cause conflict. No, but I think someone, more simply, like to travel, learn about different things in the world, but also appreciate the kind of friction that occurs between people coming from different backgrounds. Again, I don't really know how that works in the real world or like have an ideal type, but I think dedication, discipline, and I think a sense of humor are very important in a partner.
Yeah. So what do you think Viet's ideal partner type is? Okay, now we switch the games, and then you're going to be the one. You're going to be the focus of the questions.
Oh Lord.
Wow, this is difficult. I mean, well, I know from what I've learned and observed from Vic in this past year of our friendship, Vic is a very disciplined, very committed, and a dedicated person, and very loyal friend. She enjoys both the arts, but intellectual conversation. So someone who is Viet's ideal person, maybe someone totally who's opposite of her. Because that will force her to, be completely disoriented and then having to sort of, renegotiate all her values and standards. But it also makes her curious. This is maybe, I'm just thinking off the top of my head right now, but, maybe to answer Vic in a different way, because she said I am in love with myself and I need someone who's like maybe similar or exactly like me in order to fall in love with. Maybe Vic is the ideal person is someone totally opposite of who she is, because that provides a challenge that she finds curious and interesting.
Is this true?
So this feels like the hot seat. Like I feel like I'm blushing, and now
I feel like we're on a dating show now. This is a switch from learning
University.
education to
It's really important in university. A lot of people find their mates in university.
It's true.
Very true.
Yeah, I think there is. It's true. This is a part of learning.
Yes, college sweethearts don't always last, but
No.
college dating always happens.
Right, right, and it's pretty informative during that time of year.
Yes.
Or
Okay,
life.
Vic.
So I initially found this really funny because I'm not sure I could answer that question for myself. But I think for me it's important to find people who are solid, like rocks or anchors in many ways, because I tend to be a little bit more flighty. And so people who have a good sense of who they are, who know what they value, and who are committed to those values, I think are not only attractive to me, but like provide great balance in my life. And at the same time, for me, I think it's important to find people who are assured about themselves.
Yeah.
To me, confidence, I think, is important. And maybe not so much confidence in a way that you're not open to questioning yourself or your identity, but confidence in your process for negotiating that.
Absolutely. All right, next question.
Yes.
Does Viet know how to cook?
I think Viet knows how to cook yams and potatoes really well. Because that's what she shared with me, although I haven't had the pleasure to enjoy her yams and potatoes. No, actually, honestly, I think Viet knows how to cook definitely much better than I, since I live off canned foods. But even I've heard her share that even though she's in Vietnam this past year, and there's many wonderful food in Vietnam, that she's also taken the time to cook for herself, and very healthy too. Very healthy eatings. So in some ways, Viet and I, come from similar background, but we have different preferences in terms of what we like. So yes, I think she knows how to cook.
Yeah.
Do you?
I do. I grew up in a restaurant. That's what my mom sort of did. And
Wow.
so like I really like food. I really like the process of cooking for people. And I'm pretty lazy cooking for myself, to be honest. Hence the simplicity and the healthiness to it. But I love being able to cook for people.
Actually, I'm the same. When I cook for myself, I'm just like, I throw everything.
Yeah.
But then when I cook for other people, I like to be very lavish
Right,
and just to
right.
like give a lot of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I don't know for you, I grew up thinking like food is love, right? And like
Yes.
all that time, the energy that you put into that is an expression of love.
Absolutely. Yeah, same here. Okay, next question. Does Viet consider herself a feminist?
Yes, definitely. Well, feminism could be also a tricky word, but I think that Viet is a proponent of, women's rights, and has probably been involved in many kinds of work or organizations or kind of movements to support, the development of feminism. And I would be curious to hear how she feels that work in her time in Vietnam compared to the States.
Yeah, I think Tree knows me pretty well, and it's something I say about myself too. I come from a line of very strong women, like grandmothers and mothers who held down the fort and kept things together. So I have an incredible amount of respect for what it means to be a woman, to navigate both your personal obligations, what society expects of you, and also what you want for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I, in college, worked with like groups for women, sort of like self-organized groups against domestic violence, and a whole nother topic. We could dive into it, but.
Does Viet bond better with people that are older or people that are younger?
My instincts would say people who are older, but I think Viet is in general very flexible. I think just whoever, younger or older, piques her interest or curiosity, she will really go to great lengths to discover those people and make friends with them, or sort of like, so older, but maybe because that she's friends with me, and that's why I'm speaking from my perspective from this chair, but
I tend to gravitate towards older friends, but in general, I think I just like hearing people's stories. And I think sometimes younger people don't have the benefit of having their stories listened to. So I think that ideally both.
And how did Viet, what is this question?
it's a trick question.
Okay.
It's a test.
Okay. So, according to Viet's experience in Vietnam, what does she think about Vietnamese people living in Vietnam?
Wow.
Oh.
Wait, are you asking me?
Yeah, you
To
have
ask
to answer.
Viet?
No,
For
you have to
Viet.
answer for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to answer for Vic.
For Viet.
Yeah.
In 2 short sentences. So gotta be succinct.
Okay, give me 5 seconds. Let me gather my thoughts really quickly. I think that this experience in Vietnam this past year, and maybe even before that, is one in which coming back to discover her relationship to Vietnam. in some ways. Viet has had a very strong relationship with her mom. And through her mom, in some ways, I think there are elements of Vietnam that she's heard talked about, discussed, or shared with her mom through their journeys together, but maybe haven't had the chance to have time living here long enough in order to discover. So I guess if I were to be quick, her experience in Vietnam, maybe to summarize up in terms of rediscovering sort of a history and culture.
Yes.
And sort of how does one fit into that history and culture at this stage in her professional career, where she's about to finish medical school or go on to become a doctor. How does it fit into her passion, her ambition, and her sort of goal of perhaps helping the community or giving back in some ways? That's longer than 2 sentences, but maybe that's how I would put Viet's experience in Vietnam would be. Now, please correct me on I'm wrong.
Yes, Viet. Is this correct?
So I think this is reflective of personalities. I think he talked about a lot of the big concepts, and for me, to answer your question, I would probably say that it's been a really humbling experience. I've been touched by how generous and gracious and welcoming people are here, that they don't see the boundaries between myself as much as I do, and that like Vietnamese people that I've met have just been like the salt of the earth and just like incredibly resilient and funny and warm.
So now that you've answered a lot of questions about yourself, would you like to showcase each other and also us some things that are not academic, that are not, that are fun, that are some of your talents?
So I can do something. It's a silly song, I think. Maybe reflective of. I actually attended kindergarten in Vietnam, but then moved to the United States at the age of 7. So this is a song I like to do. It's a little silly. Hopefully it's fun. Maybe people will laugh. Definitely they will laugh about me. I will perform it too, but please excuse me if it's very silly. Yeah.
And I'll provide moral support.
Oh, thank you, thank you, Vic. Vic, not Vic. Bài hát là một con vịt.
One duck.
Yeah.
All right.
So, một con vịt nó xòe 2 cái cánh, nó kêu lên quắc 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 quắc. Gặp hồ nước nó bị bơm, lấy lên bờ nó quấy cánh cho khô. Nếu mà nói sai, if I spoil something wrong in Vietnamese, excuse me, but it's been a long time since kindergarten, but I want to perform something just for fun.
You know what I realized about that performance? You made one little mistake.
Yes.
At the end, you were like, "Vẫy cái cánh cho khô," right? And then you weren't shaking you weren't shaking the wings. You were shaking something else.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe I was thinking the đuôi. So maybe tails, wings, yeah. But maybe Viet was probably doing it correctly.
No.
She was following you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Maybe it's very embarrassing. Can I sit down now?
She was following the mother duckling.
Right.
Okay. Maybe yes.
All right. So Viet, what are you gonna do for us?
So like part of my year here, I think I didn't grow up in Vietnam, and so I had never heard any like Vietnamese folk songs or childhood songs. And throughout this year and through my travels and interviews and such, I got the chance to learn a lot of these like classic Vietnamese childhood songs. And I was touched because they're so much more emotional and so much more authentic in some ways than like the wheels on the bus, you know? So I'm just gonna sing a little bit. And I shared a bit about my mom. So I think like there's that whole bit to it too. Let's see. Con yêu chân mẹ phải đi làm xa, con yêu tay mẹ trái sắm làng ra. Mẹ thường dậy sớm nấu nồi cơm đầy, mẹ thường ngủ muộn chăm đèn vá mây. Con yêu mẹ lắm bằng chân ông sao, con yêu mẹ lắm bằng chân ông trăng, con yêu mẹ lắm bằng chân ông trời.
Woo! Okay. And how did you learn about this song? And how is that related to you and your mother?
So I had the privilege of going on this trip throughout Vietnam. And it was connected with a lot of different elements of promoting education as well as providing musical inspiration and parts of public health. And I was very fortunate to be able to share about a lot of different topics that are important to me, whether it's like oral hygiene or more importantly like sexual reproductive health to young girls, and like Q&A consultations about general health issues like high blood pressure, joint pain, sleep problems. So in that process, I was introduced to a bunch of Vietnamese folk songs. Amongst them, there was this and Đi Được Cơm, and just all these things that are tinged with this idyllic childhood in like rural landscapes that I have never experienced, but I think have always sort of yearned for. And a lot of the imagery in that song, I think, speaks to my experience of what my mother was too, like someone who was always hardworking, who always made sure that people were fed first, who always stayed up late, you know, that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Oh, we've like, Okay, so next up is the Ielts Marathon.
Yes.
So let's go.
Break things up.
Thank you.